Hello and welcome to Nigerian Now on Echo Television International. I am Sarah Elisha Dasham, and we will be looking at quite a number of issues that are arising in the nation. You know the way we do it here, where you can drop your comment on our Facebook and YouTube, and you can join us live there to actually hear what is happening. And I'll be doing this together with Rachel Tanzi. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Afternoon,
How
Celia.
you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great, thank you so much. Well, let us go straight into the topic for today. We'll be starting with the issue of the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Just recently, it got to the knowledge of Nigerians that foreign students actually not doing well in their assessment tests. Talking about the assessment test that was being conducted recently, and it happened about 72% of the foreign trained doctors are actually not doing well.
Yes.
In fact, the Medical and Dental Association said the fact that most of these trained doctors are coming from Ukraine. And it will baffle you to ask, to wonder, in a time where we're seeing that often most of the doctors or most of the practitioners that practice outside are expected to come out with flying colors, because it's expected that they had better teachers, they had better facility, they had everything, you know, talking about equipment. And this is not the first time, because if you backdate down to June, July, we had the same case where we had foreign doctors were not actually doing well during their assessment test. And then recently again, the assessment test being conducted to them, we're hearing that they are still not doing well. Now the question on the minds of most Nigerians, the fact that what are the factors that are actually resulting or actually leading to the fact that we're seeing that most of our trained doctors abroad are actually not doing better when it comes to some of the assessment tests. Are we saying that the assessment being said by the council is very hard for them, or are we saying that medicine abroad is different from Nigeria? What really could be the factor that is actually making these foreign doctors not to do well, Rachel?
Celia, first of all, I believe that there's nothing wrong with the assessment because when you look at it, it's been done for only for foreign students. If you finished your medical school here in Nigeria, you are not supposed to do this examination. You're not supposed to go for the assessment test. It's just basically for students that schooled abroad and all of that. Now the question is not that medicine abroad is different. I mean, we can argue that to a large extent,
True.
it could be different, Sele. We can't argue that for sure, but we know that it could be slightly different and it couldn't be, but that's not the case here. It's just like how if you want to study abroad, let's take it backward like that. You have to sit down for tests like I am for like the SAT, the standard American test. You have to sit down for TOEFL. Some, if it's your master's, you have to go for GMAT. You have to go for the ICELET. You have to go for all of these different assessment and tests. And with Nigerian curriculum, you cannot pass any of these tests because I happen to sit down for SAT one time, and even the math is different from our mathematics. It's like geometry, and we don't do much of that here. And this is where I'm bringing it back. How is the assessment? There's nothing wrong with the assessment, but how is the assessment? Are they just coming back and giving a Nigerian standard of examination, having practiced or learned in a different way and method, where they're given an ample amount period of time for them to be able to study and get in tune with the kinds of question, with the way we practice things? Not that medicine is different, but certain practices are different. Certain things are slightly different, and they need to be attuned to some of these things before writing the test. And I believe that that is a question because even after this test, they are being asked to still do a 1 year housemanship. So the question is, why isn't the housemanship coming before the examination? You understand? For them to be able to be in the system, understand, bring their own broad knowledge, let me put it like that, and be able to like merge it together with what we have in the system. I believe if it could be done that other way, maybe we would see less amount of medical students failing this examination. Now, of course, is no excuse, and we can't remove other external factors, like some of these students having to finish their education not properly due to the war in Ukraine, because we have they said that it is majority from Ukraine, and then even when you go to the portal for the examination, if you finish from Ukraine 2022, that is last year, you can't even write the exams. It means there is a question mark to your certificate, and then you cannot do it and all of that. So perhaps we are also having students that weren't able to finish their studies as expected, didn't have a good environment to finish, and that could affect the output of their result for this examination. So I just hope that we sit down and review. Yeah, exactly, the whole process. We should come before which, and do these students have enough time for them to be able to study, to be trained for how this exam should be, and to also have some understanding of where there is some differences when it comes to medicine in Nigeria and then abroad. I believe we can't say it's different, but there might be some slight difference that could lead or affect, could be a factor affecting the failure of this majority of medical students when it comes to this assessment.
Even though the medical and the dental council are actually saying that this just exposed the fact that the student did not really have the clinical training they are supposed to have. And I think it still takes me back to the point where you say, why don't we have them doing their housemanship first before having the assessment? This will actually expose them to some of the training we do in the clinic, some of the things that they are exposed to. Even though, if you ask me personally, I mean, human medicine is human medicine everywhere, and if vet medicine is vet medicine anywhere. It's the same animals, it's the same thing, but possibly maybe the manner in which they are being trained is different. And if we're having this thing, it came up in June, July, and it's coming up again, then that only signifies or actually expose something that I think that the medical and the dental council need to look thoroughly into, that whenever we are having foreign students coming into the country, regardless of whether, because right now we're looking at the medicine and dental, but then let's look at even other professions. I mean, we have students that are being trained abroad. Let's say, for instance, public administration. You go study it abroad, and then coming back to, actually giving an administrative work here in Nigeria. Of course, Rachel, it's different. Yes. Of course, it's different. So it will take you time to be able to learn the system and actually to be able to get into it and know what is expected of you. So we're hoping that beyond it just, being reflected or being on the paper, we'll see what are the medical and the dental council hoping to do about this. Is there going to be synergy with other abroad students that are coming, or with the students over there? And then let's just see how to go about this, because talking about 72%, we're talking about more than half of the students. So that is to say that
we have over 700 writing and then 495 failing. So there was just 200
and something that
passing.
Actually passed. So that just exposed that there is actually will I say irresponsibility? Not really irresponsibility, but that just showed that something is actually not right somewhere.
Yes.
There is a gap between the learning process and then what they are supposed to put into practice, because what you are learning is supposed to be the same thing you're supposed to be facing there. So for them not to pass the assessment and just expose one thing, that what they were learned or what they were taught is actually not what is actually reflecting. Now, still talking about the fact that we are not able to do the right thing here, or the fact that a lot of people keep leaving the country. Recently, we're having Senate coming up to say the fact that our students or Nigerians in Ethiopia are under threat, attack, perjury, whatever you're going to mention it. And then a lot of Nigerians are presently in the prison, talking about over 200 of Nigerians are in prison for no cause reason. You just really can't pinpoint exactly what they did that they are in prison. And this was being brought to the floor by the minority leader, Simon Matkon, where he mentioned the fact that a lot of Nigerians in Ethiopia are being treated with so much disrespect. In fact, the manner in which they're being treated makes you to wonder what really is the problem. And we're talking about a fellow African country like here. And I remember a lot of people are talking about the fact, I hope we're not having a repeat of what happened in South Africa. Hope we're not having a repeat of what happened. Even in Ghana here, we had issues where Nigerians were not treated right there. And then we had when the House of Rep had to go over there to have a talk and all of that. And it's coming up again, the fact that Nigerians are not being treated well. Now, Rachel, my question right now will be the fact that what really is the problem? Why are Nigerians treated that way? Because even if we're going to go back to the issue of the Ukraine during the crisis, and when we had some of our medical students and Nigerians that were trying to go to the border, they made mention of the fact that there was a way that they were being treated. And I remember a lot of people kept asking, is it because you're a Nigerian or is it because you're black? And the question, when you check it, was more like because they were Nigerians. So they were giving more priority to other citizens before Nigerians. Now, this is still taking out the fact that Nigerians are treated that way. Now, you begin to ask, what really is the problem? Is it the way we portray ourselves? Is there something wrong? Is the Minister of Diaspora not really doing her job? You begin to ask what really is the problem where we're having Nigeria, over 200 being treated that way in Ethiopia.
I mean, Stella, is a lot of reasons, and then there are so many questions to be asked. Now, the first question is, who are these 250 Nigerians? Because if you're documented, we should know who are these 250 Nigerians. And then for how long has this been going on? Because whether we like it or not, Sele, there are people that are vulnerable to certain things. And most of the times, the people that are vulnerable to this kind of attacks, because trust me, the people know them, Sele. If maybe we don't happen to live in an environment that has a lot of migrants, but if you live in an environment, Sele, that have a lot of migrants, you'll be able to tell the difference between legal migrants and illegal migrants. And the people there know such things. If you move to a country, Sele, maybe on a work visa, you're a legal migrant, for example, there is good enough document about you. You have an employee and you are in contact with your family at home. You understand, you are very visible. If you go missing for one day, people will know. Your employer will know, your family will know, everybody that is in charge of your whereabouts, even the Nigerian embassy will know that you've gone missing because you're a legal migrant. We can say the same for what happened in Chad, where there a war broke out, in Sudan rather, and we were able to account for the millions of students, and they were able to be brought back home. Why? Because these are documented migrants. These are students that are out there schooling. So there is documents showing that we have this number of people by name, by date, by where they are, location, region, and then the country is able to step in and be able to rescue these people. But when we begin to have issues of faceless Nigerians, people who are not really accounted for, and the Ethiopian people know that these people are not accounted for, then they take advantage of them and they put them in that vulnerable position. And this is what I am seeing playing out. Because if it is a student, the school will know that a student, because they know you are coming from another country. They have to be careful, because if you go missing, it is trouble for them. If you're on work visa, your employees know that. It's like whatever it is, as long as you are legally in a country, first of all, people who are legal in a country always find the safest place to stay. That is one way. And for people who are not, are always prone to all of these kind of things. And I believe that this is the first step of action. Who are these people? Is finding out who exactly are these people. Are they being detained by the government? Is it even known by the Ethiopian government as it is? Do they know? Or is it just some unfortunate Nigerians who just happen to fall into the hands of one group of law enforcement officers that are probably corrupt in Ethiopia, or one who understand this thing? And then it just tells us that we have to dig deeper, know who are these people, and for how long has it been going on? Because I want to believe that these are people that happen to be in vulnerable situation, and then they find themselves in this kind of situation, and almost nobody can account for their movement, and that's why it grew to this number, and nobody know how long it has been, and up to now it's just 250 Nigerians without proper this Mr. This Mr. That. Just like the cases we had in Libya, the evacuation that kept on going. A lot
Still
of
going
people
on.
exactly are not documented, and Nigeria just have to keep evacuating years after the Libyan war. These are some of the aftermath concerning when people migrate to a place illegally and then fall into such situations abroad.
You know, I'm happy that the Senate is not just jumping into accusing the Ethiopian government,
Of
but
course
saying the fact
not.
that they want to set up a committee that will actually work together with the Ethiopian government to actually check what really is the problem for this number of Nigerians that are being killed, for this number of Nigerians that are being in prison without any, you know, reasonable, as in we don't have any documented, like say, paper to say, okay, this is what had happened. Just like you rightly stated, there are no names to say, okay, these are the names of the people, and unfortunately no family has actually come out to
Said
say
yes,
something is one, my ward is
it's
missing,
in
my husband
Ethiopia,
is missing, my wife.
exactly.
Nobody has come out to say anything like that. So you begin to wonder, so what really is the problem? So I'm happy that they are setting up a committee to actually go over there, work with the Minister of Diaspora and other people over there to know what really is happening there, because Ethiopia is not known for a country that actually treat people in that manner.
Yes,
So for
Sele.
you to hear things like this coming up, it only signifies one thing, and that is the fact that we need to actually cross-check and know what really is the problem and how did these people get into the position where they're in right
True.
now. And this only tell one thing, that we actually need to make even our own borders to be more, you know, over the years we've seen that our borders are porous, and no wonder people keep living, and then you wonder how they left, like the
How?
issue of the Libya you're talking about. Till date, Nigerians have been evacuated into the country. Why? Because somebody did not do the right thing. One of your friends said, I know somebody that
Somebody
can
that
do
can
this,
get
and
you
before you
in and
realize
all
it,
of that.
you paid money and you're out of the country. And then at the end of the day, it will cost Nigerian government more money because they need to look for a way to make you safe. I remember when the minister for the diaspora, I remember back then, was talking about the fact that Nigerians in the northern Cyprus should be careful because of killings and all of that. And I remember Nigerians over there said that nothing is happening to them. They are
Yes,
fine.
exactly. They are
Nobody should say
okay.
anything. Well, we were aware that Nigerians were there, and then they actually gave first-hand information that nothing is happening to
Nothing,
them.
yeah.
So that was one on another hand. So I hope that this will be the same thing. Let us have other Nigerians in Ethiopia telling us what is the situation, not just one person coming out to say, okay, this is a video, this is what is happening to us. No, but let us
Yes.
have more, you know, probe being done into what is happening, investigation to make sure things are done well. And I think there should be also an eye opener for us to actually do well, because if our country is great, I don't think Nigerians would have been where they are right now.
Of course
But
not.
we all wanted to japa, or Nigerians
by all
wanted to
means.
japa, and this is it. So just like people always say, when you japa down and come back again to the country,
True, Sele.
because there's nowhere like home. Nobody would have just hold you like that without any reason. So we're hoping now when all of this make it up, and we're hoping to keep our fingers crossed, and let us see what the Senate will do eventually out of this, because a lot of things are going and then we really cannot tell. I mean, 250 is quite a number, Rachel,
Sele,
if you
it is.
ask me. And so if we're talking about 250 being killed and not being accounted for, then that only signifies one thing, that as a country we need to put our heads together to be sure that we work together with the custom and immigration officer. Let us know if there are people that have corrupt cases and then visas are being given without being accounted for.
Yes.
Then all of this should be, you know, probed, so that we don't end up seeing the Nigerian government using resources that should have been used to
For
kill to
something
other
else,
things,
yes.
and then we end up going to find out what is happening to Nigerians outside. So I hope that beyond all of what we say, the government will take up the next action and do the right thing that is expected of them. Well, Richard, I think this is how far we can go on the program. Thank
Yes,
you so
Sele.
much for doing this
You're
with me.
welcome.
And thank you so much to our viewers for keeping a date with us on Nigeria Now. And until we come you again tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.